Hello, this is high technology values here, isn't it? Really high production values. I think I recall AWP stating that Kiely's vehicle turned over in a side-to-side spin, not in an end-to-end roll. And there were more windows open on the driver's side. In America, that's the left side, than on the passenger side. Perhaps that's how the side mirror was damaged, because the side-to-side roll would mean that side mirror, it has that weight and pressure between, the car and the floor of the lake. So a side-to-side spin rather than end-to-end, what would that mean? Well, let's have a look here. The Honda CRV 2013, it's about 4.5 meters in length, which is 14 feet in length. Now, if we imagine it's gone front first into Prosser Reservoir, and the engine weight has started to pull the nose down and water is starting to pour in the side windows, both sides, but faster at first on that left side, even though, yes, water finds its equilibrium and its level. But, as it goes into the lake and it goes nose down, perhaps a person might be convinced in desperation that the rear of the vehicle is going to stay above water and perhaps the car is going to go no deeper. The team of AWP have told us that it was sort of 10 to 14 feet, and indeed if the car at first, when it first went nose down, was 10 feet and 10 foot of water, there's still going to be a significant amount of gap at the top, and someone might think that they can't push out through rushing water, or that they've panicked in the dark, they've tried to go to the top, maybe it nestled there and then slowly continued right over. So was the trunk briefly above the water, or did it have some sort of air pocket that someone might clamber up into before the vehicle is actually flipped completely? If it went front first and it did spin, as I'm sure we were told, it seems that I think theyve or someone was showing us the hand motions he used to explain this, seems to say that it was a spin, not a roll, then the vehicle would be found this way, and that's the way that the vehicle was found. So front first and a spin suits that way, and indeed front first, nose starting to go down, you still might scramble to the back, and then rather than a roll, there is a spin. Okay, but there's a theory that maybe, this car had to have gone rear first into Prosser Reservoir. And they're saying that if it was rear first, and I'm wondering, wouldn't it end up closer to shore than 55 feet? If it's gone in, the nose has gone down, so the nose has gone down aiming towards shore. And then the slope, I don't know what the floor is like there of Prosser Reservoir, but maybe it would have even have prevented it rolling that way. Maybe it has managed to roll and then it slid down on the silty floor out to 55 feet. Possible, but I don't know. I don't think a flip going in rear first will give us the results that we seem to have gotten. What about rear first and a spin after reversing in? Well, that means the bonnet would have been found towards shore. And we're told that it was a spin, not a roll. So going in rear first, lots of things can happen, but it seems like it wouldn't have been found the way it was. I think it's possible that there were several sort of settlings of the car, maybe moving a little bit, depending on what the bottom of the reservoir is like. And then just thinking about the time frame and thinking about this assistance person, the roadside assistance, I think his name's Neil. This is very odd. Now, Jagger's saying it wasn't him. Was Kiely hanging with anyone else maybe on Friday? I'm not sure that the facts seem to align with that. But it's not necessarily Saturday or Saturday at 11, anything like that, that the Boca incident happened, whether or not it was Kiely's vehicle or anyone involved in her disappearance and subsequent death. So it's interesting to me that, look, Boca is on the way from Prosser to Reno, where Jagger and Kate were back searching, and maybe after the party or before the party, plenty of people involved in the party and in what might have happened to Kiely, whether just through knowledge or foul play, plenty of people were probably doing that route. This person or this vehicle at Boca could have been anyone. It could have been anyone coming back from Reno. It could have been anyone going to Reno. It could have been someone just trying to go to Boca Lake. And it doesn't have to have been Kiely's vehicle. And we can be guaranteed that law enforcement know whether or not it was Kiely's vehicle, and they've seen the tape and they can identify the people. And that's that. Does Boca make more sense if you consider Reno and the car show or just hanging out? Could Neil have been called out on Friday before the party? Was Kiely with another boy, not Jagger? And she has called out someone to help her on Friday before she's even gone to the party, before she's just continued into Truckee to be seen at 6:08 on a camera in a store there. I mean, I just think that, okay, sure, it might be interesting to speculate, but it can be so damaging to speculate about what happened at Boca. It could be something incredibly heinous and subversive, sure, and it could be something not even relating to Kiely's case. Are police required to tell us anything about it? No, not if they want to be able to interview people without them setting up alibis or altering their statements in some way. I don't know. It is interesting though. Then what else was I musing? Now I know that the windows down both sides, more on the driver's side, does affect how it sinks. It's weighted, but it's not going to be nose down. It will be nose down. What else was I thinking? The driver's side mirror was damaged. Seems like the vehicle going nose first spins, hits the left side mirror on the floor of the lake. Nose first may still let a young, experienced girl try to go toward the boot. You know, I really think we don't have to jump to an assumption, even though it could, you know, it might be the most probable. We don't need to jump to the assumption that Kiely was in the boot when the car went in the lake, because it is entirely possible that Kiely scrambled herself up into the trunk space thinking that that was going to remain above water level. And I think to discount that, well, people that are doing that wholly, it's partly because AWP were really irresponsible using a clickbait title, murder or accident, where maybe they could have said foul play or accident or something along those lines. That was so irresponsible, and it's given the impression, or it's even given people the feeling of being justified or being given the go-ahead to talk as if she was passed out, knocked out, or dead in the boot when the car went in to Prosser Lake. Now, actually, Kiely might have been in the boot before going into Prosser Lake, and it have nothing to do with anybody else. She could have been sleeping in the boot and just have rolled down the hill. Who knows? We don't know this foul play. I'm not saying I don't see plenty wrong with what is going on in her case, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions. Regarding the photo image of partygoers and what people call Kiely's headlights to the left of the image, excuse me, I don't believe they'd see a vehicle going rear first into the lake from 957 feet, 300 metres, or nearly the whole way around a football, around a track on the track and field. With the topography there, and especially, sloping right down into the lake and with the trees, etc., down by the shore, it's out of eye line at the shore. You might see some kind of glow from lights, but I don't think you're going to see headlights. Now, perhaps people are watching a car in reverse, not coming towards them. It could be someone reversing out away from them. But who knows? It could be someone trying to find a way out after a boy supposedly blocked one of the tracks, the track on the way out, further up the peninsula. Who knows? But, there's a lot of people that want to say, for the sake of whatever, that is Kiely's car going into the lake and everyone's watching it. There's no proof of that at all. Would Jagger be seen in such a recognisable hat, his black San Fran hat, then wear that hat in TV interviews? Would people who are in possession of someone's vehicle and that someone is deceased and in said vehicle, would they call a roadside assistance person out to the vehicle? Would they really just not abandon the vehicles and the deceased person anywhere else rather than go to a location that is being monitored and is being searched by civilians and by many different agencies of law enforcement? That just seems just so bizarre. You have to be able to manage to marry. How do you marry that up? How do you marry up these kids having someone else's car and that person dead in the car and they call roadside assistance? No, I don't know about that. When more than what, Neil can be completely mistaken. He didn't get to review the footage. So he's going by memory, but he hasn't been able to have another look and do some comparisons, or he hasn't been able to look at the license plate. Now, he might have written a record or have an electronic record, administration-wise, of what the license plate is. So that might be why he's absolutely certain and approached AWP, because maybe he knows that it was Kiely's license plate. So that may well be. So I think we have to consider that Kiely was alive when he went there, and that maybe it was Kiely that was at the vehicle, and that maybe it wasn't Saturday night, but it could have been Friday. I don't know. When more than one person is involved in heinous activity, odds are greatly increased of discovery of guilt. Would it be possible that several people are involved in Kiely Rodni's death beyond perhaps their irresponsibility or lack of care? How could so many partygoers all stick to the same stories? That's difficult for two collaborators to carry off, let alone an entire village. It's the more people that are involved, it's much more difficult to remain undetected. It really is. One person is the only person that can keep secrets, So did Kiely make a call to Sammy's phone? At what actual time, and what did she say? If it wasn't Kiely, then wouldn't the pings of the call to one phone be right next to the pings of another phone? So, if Sammy is trying to make it look like Kiely called her, Wouldn't Sammy have had to leave her phone somewhere else so that when Kiely's phone called her phone, Sammy's phone didn't ping right next to Kiely's phone? That seems like a lot. This is a lot of logistics, I think people are really looking at this and saying, wow, this is complicated. It's a lot, right? And I don't know that this lot has been done. Surely the phone had to be some distance away, or, they know they would be implicating themselves somehow. Sammy couldn't do it unless maybe she swapped phones, took Kiely's and left hers somewhere. So maybe took her phone away, went back, used Kiely's, and then went back to her own phone. I don't know. Who else might have made the call if not Kiely Rodni? Law enforcement would have had to have verified the call, the time, the locations. So why did Sammy say 12:36 if this is impossible? Was it a simple mistake, or is there something else that is mistaken? Because I'm not sure that the 12:33 has come from law enforcement. So it actually might be the 12:33 that is incorrect. And it's putting cats amongst pigeons where there should just be, grain being thrown. What made AWP state murder or accident? Something they saw? Or was it a clickbait title? I'd like to think that they are above that. They certainly have integrity. These guys are the real deal, and they are making a real world difference. But what else could have made them fear a murder had occurred? If the car itself was placed correctly as per accident, not considering windows for now, because I'm not sure about the 2 windows down on one side, 1 on the other, wouldn't it have to have been something they saw in the vehicle? Was it Kiely? We know it's Kiely, but, was it something about Kiely? Not simply, so high-tech. Not simply that Kiely was in the trunk, but something else. Because, as I was trying to show in my basic diagrams, it's not necessarily the positioning of the car that gives it away. I think it's to do with something more immediate, something with, I think it's something, I don't want to say more subtle or something, but I think it's something more to do with Kiely herself. I'm not sure. We need to wait and see. Kiely was in the rear. But was it something else? If someone wanted to hide foul play, they wouldn't, for example, leave hands or ankles tied. Was it something to do with Kiely's clothing, or was it injuries that could still be seen on her body after this amount of time in the water? Do they assume murder or, simply because she was in the rear, okay? And I don't think I still don't think, even if she was in the back seat or the rear, I don't think we can assume it wasn't Kiely that put herself there, It's likely, it is possible, that she was already in the trunk when the car went in the water. Still doesn't mean that there was foul play. It could have been misadventure. But, have AWP said this because of something that we don't know, okay, other than her being found in the rear? Was it her clothing? Was it injuries? Was it something to do with the windows or the gear the car was in, etc.? They are masters of what they do, but they are not forensic experts. They are not forensic examiners, and I feel that whether it was just a mistake or not, they should not have put murder in their title. It was wrong. They owed Kiely's family not to do that, and they owed that to Kiely, okay? Because they can't take those sort of things back, and we know that this, no matter what we are told happened, we know that this is going to be another Watts Island. What items do you think were found in Kiely's vehicle? We know that her laptop and laptop charger, phone charger, a blunt holder, a sweatshirt were in the vehicle. What about a wallet? What about her phone? Her phone wasn't attached to the charger. I find that strange, although maybe she would have just sat it in her lap. Was the phone found in the car? Is the floor of the lake where her car was going to be dredged just to see what might have come out of the windows during the spin, or just during the currents of the water, etc.? Were there any blankets in the car showing that maybe Kiely was prepared to stay overnight if she had to? There was a black bralette top. Was Kiely clothed or undressed? Did she have her shoes on? Were there any alcohol bottles or cans left in the car? Were Kiely's keys in the ignition? Was her seatbelt connected, or is there something funny to do with that? Has it been twisted in some way, showing, a struggle to try to get out? I hope the lake floor is going to be dredged if there is any question at all about foul play, or if there is any important item missing at all. I'm so sorry. Such as her phone, a wallet, anything like that at all, an item of clothing. I hope that the lake floor is actually going to be dredged and searched. Do you entertain theories such as Mags drove Kiely's car to the sanctuary and Kiely was already deceased, and it was Mags' role to take the vehicle to the lake, and then someone else, Sammy for example, putting the car into the lake? These are really big allegations that Jagger was with Kiely and it was after the party, and so she's turned up in the lake and she's been missing, and he hasn't said anything. He's just run from Reno to comfort Lindsay, Kylie's mother, but all along, he's had guilty knowledge and he's actually had something to do with it. I mean, there is a lot to deal with here, and I've recently seen that people are alleging he is in a hospital with a mental health crisis. Well, hello, you don't have to be guilty of anything to be suffering a mental health crisis when the most traumatic, intense event has happened. You've lost a very dear person to you. You are suffering extreme guilt because you weren't there to help them, and you're also being accused of her murder online. Okay? It would be more believable that he wouldn't have some sort of mental health crisis. Okay? And then, so what did I say? What about Boca Reserve? Can it really be Kiely Rodni's car? Shouldn't police clear that info if it's not Kiely? What day was it really? Anyway, it was just a few of my thoughts. I've got 100 more of them, of course, but I'm just going to upload this now and see what you think.